With each new year comes new trends, and I've seen since the beginning of 2026 sort of this trend, if you will, on social media, whether it be TikTok, Instagram, or even here on YouTube, people reverting sort of to a minimalistic lifestyle or minimum, cutting back on things to sort of enhance their lives. And while I don't disagree with that, I think more people should do it. This is not a new concept. This is something that's been around for eons. And in fact, something I've kind of followed this in my own life for quite a long time. And I first heard the concept via negativa. And I'm actually going to look in here and read it for you. So basically, via negativa, which is Latin as you'd suspect, means the negative way. So it is an approach, whether it be in theology, religion, philosophy, and or decision making, which is more here, that seeks to understand or define things by focusing on what it is not instead of what it is, via negativa. And that's what I want to talk about more today. Making your life better by removing things. By removing these things, your life will get better. And I'm going to give you 3 things in this video that you need to remove here in 2026 so your life gets better and ideally easier. You have more peace via negativa. And again, stick around for all 3 guys. The last one is, you're gonna wanna listen to the last one here. So let's talk about, first and foremost, why the power of subtraction. So as we talked about in the beginning of the video here, the new year brings on the resolutions. Everybody's got something new. It's, sort of a new hack, a new habit, new routines. They're adding more to their lives in an already inundated life. They actually need to be taking things away, but they don't see that. They want to bring on more, and this just causes most people to fail. The fact of the matter is, by the second week of February, most resolutions fail to roughly the tune of about 80%. That's not good odds. So maybe by paring back, by removing things, you're gonna have a better chance of success. And you have to remove the things that drain you guys, the things that suck your energy and, that aren't bringing a net positive to your life. You need to get the noise out of your life. You need to have less friction. You need more clarity. And how do we do that? Well, one of the first things you need to do is learn to say no. And saying no is not a personality flaw, guys. It is not a negative thing, as we talk about via negativa. Saying no is not a negative thing. It's standing your ground and saying no to things that aren't important or don't benefit you. Now, I'm not saying everything you do in your life has to benefit you. Don't get it twisted, as the young kids say. But I'm saying that you need to learn to say no more at the benefit of yourself. So every time you do say yes, guys, it does cost you something, whether that be in time, energy, or focus, or all 3. It's going to cost you. And people become exhausted and inundated because they can't say no. They say yes to everything because they think they're being a good person, but they're letting themselves down. And it's not about being cold or being selfish here, guys. It's about protecting you, your future. Every no creates space for an even better yes. So let's get right into it. What are the 3 things that we absolutely have to get rid of to move forward here in 2026? Let's start with number 1 here, guys. And this shouldn't shock you. Toxic people. Now, I don't mean these people are bad or evil, but they're sort of energy vampires. I'm sure you guys have heard this term. And oftentimes, guys, and this probably won't surprise all of you, but it may surprise some of you, the biggest energy vampires in your life are those people closest to you. And when these people take your energy, it could be hopefully it's not your spouse or partner, But it could be your mom, your dad, your siblings, your closest friends. These people, they see you sort of leveling up, and they think they have your best interests in mind. They may even act like they have your best interests in mind. But those people are oftentimes don't want you to change because it shines a light on them. I'm actually writing about this in my second book. This is actually relevant to me right now because I'm talking about this in my second book. These people aren't sort of, they don't have sort of malignant intentions, and they may not even be doing it consciously, sort of dragging you down. But these people are stuck, they're comfortable, and sometimes they're resentful by your growth. Why? Well, because when you level up, to use that term, level up, or you grow or you change, it shines a light back on them, on the mediocrity and the averageness in their life. It shows them everything they are not doing. So you're going to get things like, you're not the real you. This isn't the real you. Oh, I like the old you. Of course they did. That old you was comfortable. That person was predictable. That person was easy to control. And when you change and when you level up, you have to be prepared to cut people out of your life. Again, it's not about, you dislike them many times, family, friends. You at least have to minimize time with these folks because they are energy vampires. They are not there to see you get ahead, and they frankly don't want to. So when people drain your energy, question your ambitions, or they sort of mock your discipline, it's a perverse, it's not loyalty. They don't have your back. That's dead weight. Anybody that isn't on board with you getting a better version of yourself, they need to be cut out. Again, that's family, friends, whomever. When people aren't on board with your mission, you got to get rid of them, guys. Distancing isn't a betrayal of the friendship. It's just not. It's self-respect for yourself. You're holding yourself to a higher standard. And those who aren't on board, cut them out. There's no place for them. All right, guys, so the second thing we need to do, and we got to get rid of the toxic people, was number one. It's number two. We need to remove the bad habits before adding good ones via negativa. So guys, one of the things I'd read, and this, I guess somebody, they can argue or it can be argued that you never truly remove bad habits. They're always with you. You can only replace them with better habits. So when you talk about a bad habit, maybe it's watching too much TV, scrolling social media, watching porn, smoking, drinking, whatever other vice is yours. You need to replace it with a habit that is quote unquote good. So we talked about it. Scrolling social media, huge one for most people. One of the things you need to do is look at your phone. Check what the apps that'll tell you what apps you've been on and for how long. And you'll be absolutely shocked when you look at this. Guys, if you need to put sort of restrictors, time limits on these things, you have to do that. That includes YouTube, TV, Netflix binging, drinking, guys. There's, a big push here lately for folks to sort of curtail their drinking. I'm on board with that. I'm not saying you need to become a teetotaler. If you want a few drinks here and there, that's great. But if you need to drink to alter your reality because the one you're living with is one you can't cope with, that's a problem. Junk food, guys. Staying up all hours of the night, not getting enough sleep. Again, these bad habits will cancel out any good ones you have. Just one destructive habit can outweigh the benefits of, 5 or 10 good ones. If you don't believe me, just think, I said, we talk about porn. There are guys that watch porn every day, hours a day. Not only does this affect their time, but it's going to affect how they, relate with real people, real women. When you do this, that habit is going to affect every other aspect of your life. Your confidence, how you carry yourself. Trust me, guys. So this is where the via negativa comes in. Subtraction, losing. sort of reduces that friction. You have less friction. Cut back on your habits. You don't need a fucking bullet point of 10 things you need to do every morning for your routine just so you can check it off. You don't need to jam your face in a bucket of ice, to go in the sauna, to read 10 pages of Stoics, to take a cold shower, to meditate, to whatever. Guys, do the 3 things that need to be done that move the needle for you. Don't just have a routine for routine's sake and things that you need to check off a list. But you do need to eliminate the bad habits, guys, and you know what they are. This isn't any sort of epiphany. You know what bad habits you had. The scrolling, the drinking, the eating like shit, the skipping the gym, the porn, the Netflix. You've got to cut that shit out before you're going to move forward. And lastly, number 3 here, guys, sort of getting your head clear and not allowing shit in there, toxic stuff. So we talked about the bad habits and we talked about toxic people, but I'm talking about the constant outrage. And as you're watching this video, I'm not going to really get into the specifics of it. I don't know what YouTube's parameters are, but I think most folks know what's going on in Minnesota. This outrage, and I'm not saying this is good, bad, that's beside it, but I'm saying this outrage porn, these news cycles, because the fact of the matter is this is going to be gone in a few days and it'll be on to the next week. You guys remember Venezuela? Yeah, that was a couple weeks ago. Whatever it is, it's going to change, and it's just sort of there to keep you distracted. And worse off is not only when you watch all this, but then when you engage with people on this. It's so negative because we're so polarized. The sides are so divided. What is your hope of the end result on this? You go online and you state your point, and maybe you do it to be a dickhead, and you do it to get out, create outrage. Well, what's your end game there? To prove you're right? To say I told you so? Or to make fun of the left or make fun of the people on the right by what's the end goal? You're arguing with somebody that's on the other end of an internet. You say things you'd never say in person because you'd probably get punched in the mouth. You've got to cut out this corrosive negative inputs that you allow in, and a lot of this does come from social media, the news, and I won't get too deep on my thoughts on the news, but I think you guys know that news is not what it used to be. It is a lot of propaganda. A lot of it's been paid for. Again, whatever side you follow, you can find your side. You're going to find that sort of confirmation bias. If you believe, the left is right, it's kind of funny, the left is right. But if you believe that the left is correct, you'll find that. If you believe the right is correct, you'll find that. You just need to stop consuming, guys. And again, one of the things here when I talk about the noise. So for example, if you get one signal, if you're throughout a year, it's got basically a 50% chance of being right. Well, if you start getting signals every week, that's going to be less. There's more noise coming in if you're consuming every week. And then when you're consuming every day, there's even more noise. And then when you're consuming 10 times a day, can you imagine that? 95 plus, factually, 95% of what you're consuming is just flat out noise. Guys, you've got to cut it out, period. So and again, that's number 3. And here's where we need to think, guys. Think of yourself as a sculptor, or even the statue. You've got the statue, and it's the clay, it's just there. How does the statue get better? You just got a square rock sitting up on a pedestal. How does that statue come into form? By subtraction, via negativa. The sculptor, if I can spit this out, chips away at it, takes away what doesn't belong, things that don't look right. Chip away until you've got a finished product by removing things. Your life works the same way, guys. You're not going to get better by adding more identities, archetypes, throwing more of your opinions around, and having more distractions. You find the real you, you find the better version of you, the more content, the more at peace version of you by removing things via negativa. So guys, growth is going to feel lighter. It's going to become easier using the, via negativa. By cutting things out, your growth is going to be easier. You don't have a calendar full of 28 different things. You don't have to check off 15 things on a list to do every day. Maybe get 3 or 4 that make the difference. You're going to be far less stressed. Your brain is going to be far more focused, and you're going to have a clearer sense of purpose, guys. Progress doesn't need to feel hard. You may need to do hard things, but the process of it doesn't need to feel hard. There should be clarity in the process. What needs to be done? Now, I'm not saying those things are easy, nor should they be, but it's going to be simpler. You're going to have a calmer mind, and you are going to be far more focused. When you remove the things that are negatives in your life, the right path is going to be all that more obvious, guys. So sit back, think on this one. What are the things in your life that need to be eliminated today? We talked about 3. Negative people, the energy vampires, people sucking the life out of you, the ones that bring no positivity or no sense of calm to your life. Cut them out immediately. And again, I don't give a shit how close they are. If they're negative, net negative, cut them out. We talked about the bad habits, guys. You know what they are. Get rid of them. It may not be easy. It probably won't be, but it's a one day at a time process. And work at one at a time, guys. You got 5 bad habits. Took a while to get all 5 of those. Work on one at a time and chip away at it. We talked like the statue, guys. Chip away. The stuff, you didn't find yourself in this mess overnight. You're not going to get out of it overnight. It takes time. And then what you allow in, the noise. Guys, cut back on the noise. Stop. If you're going to watch the news, great. Watch it, once every other day, once a week, hell, once a month, whatever. Cut back. Get out of the social media arguments. Stop engaging with these people in social media. Be a creator. Stop being a consumer. Guys, if you have made it this far, thank you. I appreciate it. As always, how I get to grow the channel and how I get feedback is, 1, your comments. Drop a comment. I read them all. Do me a favor. Helps the channel. If this content you found it valuable, drop a like, subscribe. Like I said, all these things benefit the channel, guys, and help me to produce more content like this. So appreciate you sticking this one out. And again, guys, remember, movement creates motivation. It's never the other way around.